First up is Gabriel, and yeah, definitely improved over the last version. There's some really nice detail in here around the chain ring. The chain itself looks good. Um, yeah, the pedals are looking nice. I think this area could use some work to kind of connect those together. I think again, I'm not really buying this triangular shape for the spokes. I think, it would be like parallel lines and not triangular. Um, yeah, see, it's looking a little better. You could probably kind of push up the faces on the bottom to kind of hollow it out a little bit there. I think that the handlebars really need work. They look much too narrow, and they're this piece is a little strange looking, so you might want to make that thicker. Um, and again, more spread out. I think it still looks very narrow to me. Brake handles look good. Yeah, I think maybe the sort of the bottle holders don't look that convincingly able to hold a bottle. What do those look like? Smooth, yeah, not much better. But yeah, again, I think a little wider and maybe more rounded would look nice. So they look like right now they don't look like they'd fit a bottle. But yeah, the seat's a little maybe narrow in the back. Maybe this kind of part here could be wider. Something funny going on. Yeah, I mean this should really kind of fork to either this. The back wheels should be lined up with the front wheel, but right now they're misaligned, and this should fork so it goes around both sides there, and is attached to both sides of the wheel. You know, sort of like how you have the front one. Yeah, but overall this is looking pretty good. Next up is Eddie, and yeah, I mean it's a start. You've got a long way to go. Watch out for shapes like this that look elongated, um, and yeah, these spokes are looking very wide. You're going to want to make those much thinner. Um, these are okay. It looks like you've got a lot of the display options on. So if you go to display polygons, you can turn off. Looks like one of those vertices, yeah, and then maybe face centers you have on. It's hard to tell. Display polygons, face centers, yeah. So yeah, you can turn all that stuff off so it doesn't look so odd. And then yeah, look how this looks very thick. It's also kind of elongated. I expect that to be circular. Um, so yeah, it's really early days in this. There's not too much to critique yet, but you can keep going. Next up is Marcella, and yeah, this is looking pretty good. Spokes actually turned out pretty well. These are these are better than they were before. The pedals, they still look a little bit on the kind of a little bit wide this way and a little bit narrow. I feel like they'd be longer in this direction still. Um, yeah, chain looks nice. Chain wheel looks good. Center of the wheel looks good. Seat looks pretty good but I'm a little unconvinced. I feel like it dips a bit low here, and I think you could maybe give it a little bit more shape on top, just a little bit, not too much. But that looks a little bit exaggerated there. But I like the way you've kind of pushed that in there. That looks nice. Yeah. You said something about some trouble with the handlebars. Um, you can always just do one side and then move the other. If you want, you said pull them down. I'm not exactly sure what you had in mind, but let me just do this. I'm gonna grab, just to show you some selection help, because it sounds like you're trouble with selection. I'm gonna grab one edge loop, and then do shift period, which is the greater than sign, and just like grow my selection here. So then I can be sure I got all of those. And then I'm going to use soft select B to kind of have this gradual fade off, and I'll hold down B and click and drag to increase the size of that. And then I'm going to shift select this thing, and then when I move those down, it should sort of stretch that nicely. Well, oops, it's not working so well, but I think you get the idea. Maybe if I want to pull this forward now, let me shrink that down a little bit, but I can, round out that shape a bit, maybe a little bit larger. Looks alright. And you can always mirror it over to the other side. So that gives you some ideas of how you could deal with that. Yeah, I mean, you could add brake handles, brake pads if you wanted to take it further, brake lines. But yeah, overall this is looking quite good. Next up is Jose, and yeah, I'm seeing these like kind of artifacts on here, and that usually means that there's surface on top of another, but actually that doesn't seem to be the case here. Something's a little funny. One thing I'm actually seeing here is that I think you might have some surface intersecting itself. Maybe not. I don't know. It looks a little odd. It's kind of strange. So, and then yeah, same thing here. Again, that's usually when I see that strangeness, it's because there's like extra duplicates, but there's not in this case, so who knows. But yeah, I think your thing about the smooth is if I just select it and press 3 for smooth, I think that's what you're talking about. You can see these as rounded, but you've got to, yeah, this is a good example because, for something like that, you need what they call holding edges so that it keeps its shape and doesn't mess up the end. So for that, I like to use the multi-cut tool, mesh tools, multi-cut, and hold down control and get a little edge here and get one there, and then yeah, if I smooth it, it stays okay. I think that could be a little longer so it intersects there. I feel like these are a bit small, and yeah, maybe showing something in front of how that's mounted on. This looks a little skinny, and I don't know, looks a little strange to me, that piece. Maybe check your reference on that one. Let me just check if I have Viewport 2.0. Sometimes you can try some of these other ones, although they get rid of these in the next versions of Maya. So, what else I'm noticing is the 2D pan zoom. Let me go back to view, default view. Oh. Yeah, I think it had to do with the 2D zoom in thing, which I don't usually use very much. That's why I was doing that artifact thing that we saw before. Yeah, the pedals look good. The chainring, I mean, it kind of looks interesting, but it doesn't really look like, it's hard to imagine how a chain would go on there and be connected to that. It looks like you've got to work on your duplication and spacing of your spokes. They could probably be thinner and then more of them and evenly spaced. And yeah. So yeah, some lots of good stuff on here. Some areas that could improve, but overall it's a decent looking bike. Next up is Amber, and yeah, this is looking good. I would say this looks exaggeratedly large, and this chain should, line up with these teeth here. So it looks the way it's kind of inside the frame there and caught around the wheel. So yeah, just get those lined up. Um, yeah, I think, and this, sticking out pretty far is part of the problem. I think a lot of this is just, moving this. It's on reference right now, but yeah, it's just moving that back towards the center and maybe moving the chain out a bit. Seat looks good, although I would say it could use some more. I keep trying to select stuff. Everything's on reference. So just turn this all off. I think it could use more shape here, like kind of rounding out the top a little bit, just giving it more shape along the top. Yeah, this is looking good. The frame's working pretty well. I think the spokes look sort of too thick and too fused. You maybe want more of those and thinner. But all that said, yeah, it's looking pretty good. It's come together nicely. Next up is Jamor. And yeah, this is looking good. It's kind of improved. This crankshaft length looks a little bit exaggeratedly long in the vertical direction. Yeah, your chain looks really nice. The chain ring looks good. Yeah, the center of the wheel is nice with these spokes. Although the spokes are kind of intersecting the frame, so you might want to, get this bent out so it connects more to these outside edges rather than inside the wheel where it's intersecting the spokes. Seat looks good, but yeah, maybe you can clean up that seam. I'll show you real quick. I'm just going to isolate selected, see what I'm doing a little bit better, and if we select pairs of these verts, I can do shift right mouse click, merge vertices, merge to center. Again, that was shift right mouse click, merge vertices, merge to center. And then after I've already done it, do I have mirror on? Okay, I should turn that off. But now that I've done a couple, I can hit G for, it doesn't want to do that. Shift right mouse click, merge. Let's try for this one. G for previous function, just to speed up my work. G. Okay. Just make sure this one isn't separate. Oh, that is. G. I wonder if all these are separate. Nope, that one is. What you might want to do on this is select all these and go merge vertices options, and let's try 0.01, see if that does anything bad. I don't think so. Yeah, so that should have got rid of any of those weird things, and then kind of, yeah, that looks good. So, yeah, maybe round out the top a little, give this top a little bit more shape. Handlebars looking a little kind of small this way, maybe round those out a bit more. This piece right here, that looks a little thin to me. And this looks a little bit out of alignment, maybe. Whoa. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is kind of, you might want to look at this from, oh boy, a lot of stuff's a little bit off kilter here. So make sure you're doing everything real straight and from the front view. Yeah, everything's slightly misaligned, so yeah, you should kind of model them straight to begin with, so I'm not sure I know how things got a little wobbly like that, but try and get that all kind of realigned and straightened out. So everything is, along the center line. But yeah, for the most part, it's looking good. A lot of good detail there. This is Eugene, and yeah, I mean, it was so perfect to begin with. I'm honestly not too sure what's changed. But I certainly can't find anything wrong with it. You could maybe round out this to give it a little more padding. think there was something misaligned there before, or something in the previous version, if I remember correctly. But that's all looking really perfect now. Yeah, I mean, it's just pretty flawless. Um, don't really know what to say about improvement. I think these treads look even better than they did before. I guess I might say that I expect that edge to be rounded a little bit more. Maybe? Because it depends on the reference in your file. But yeah, I mean, it's excellent. It's really pretty flawless, and I'm hard pressed to find anything to improve on it. So great work. Next up is Jessica. Mentioned some green marks. I'm not seeing them in mine, but maybe something like display. What first came to mind is display, polygon display, um, like face normals. Should make those come out. So that would be my guess, but because I can't see them when I opened it, I don't know for sure. You can also check vertex normals right there. Yeah, I think that you've got a lot of the good pieces on here. I just think that the proportions aren't right. Like this crankshaft looks too long in this direction. The pedal is kind of on the big side. The tires look much too thick. The handlebars here, this area looks much too small. So I think, yeah, real check against proportions. Maybe the putting your reference image in there as an image plane to kind of line things up better would help. These pieces look a little odd. I think maybe a little more detail on those would help out. Spokes could probably be a little thinner, but they're not too bad. Although I think you've got some issues with this, being centered, and like this distance looks longer than that distance on the spoke, so it seems like it's not quite centered, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I think there's just some kind of alignment issues and some mostly proportion issues to fix here. Yeah, I mean the handlebars look really just tiny there when you look at it from this point of view. So yeah, got a lot. These forks look very thin compared to the rest of the frame. Probably these rear forks as well. So, yeah, some areas for improvement, but you got the basic, bike shape, so that's good. Next up is Crystal, and yeah, this one's looking really good. I just reopened it. I think I might have the wrong version open. I think this is the updated one. So yeah, I can see the pedals are different and stuff like that. So yeah, looking really good. I think chain's all right. These kind of big round things look a little funny. I like the detail you've done with the brake line, the thicker and thinner pieces there. Other nice detail with these things. I think if you put on, what's interesting, I wonder why those aren't becoming smooth when I hit 3. Maybe you could lose a few of these edges. So just gonna shift double click. So I'm gonna shift right mouse click delete edge. And what is it about that surface that won't smooth? Not sure. I mean, that's smoothed out there a little bit, but you've also got, like a lot of edges here, and you might want to take some of those out. Yeah, good detail in the handlebars and overall good shape. So yeah, a little bit of scale issues here, I think, on the chain ring, and in the chain, the number of chain links there could increase, as could the teeth on this. But good proportions and good detail. It's nice work.